Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vitamin B Show. As you can probably recognize our next guest, he is somebody that is out there that is changing the landscape on Instagram. And I'm so excited to interview our next guest, Brock. He is somebody that I have been following for a while. And not only is he passionate, but he's educational and he gives you practical tools to grow on social media. So, Brock Johnson is a top Instagram growth coach, keynote speaker, and co founder of the Insta Club Hub. With over 780,000 followers, almost at the million mark, and the #1 Instagram course in the world, he's helped thousands of small business owners like yourself and creators grow their brand and turn followers into income. He's a CEO, podcaster, viral content creator, and Instagram expert known for simplifying the Instagram algorithm and turning strategy into action. If you want to grow on Instagram without burning out, Brock is your guy. Give him a follow on Instagram. I promise you will be so happy you did it. Brock 11 Johnson, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. That intro makes me sound all cool and impressive, but I'm excited to chat today and to hopefully demystify Instagram a little bit for everyone listening.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so let's just dive right into it. If somebody, I feel like one of the most popular questions you get is probably how do I grow and monetize on social media? And how do you do it?
Yeah, this is such a huge question. And honestly, my answer could be 3 hours long or it could be 3 minutes long. I'll try to give somewhere in between so that it's helpful for people. Growing on Instagram, people really overcomplicate it. They, act like there's 50 million steps out there. And if you listen to every single social media coach in the world, you will feel overwhelmed with everything that you should be doing, air quotes around the word should, on a daily basis. Really, there are just 3 steps to growing on Instagram. Step number 1 is to niche down, to get really clear on your target audience and what it is you're talking to them about. That's step 1. Step number 2 is just making sure that your profile reflects that niche, making sure that your profile is optimized, it's set up correctly, that your bio articulates what your niche is, that all of your recent posts kind of revolve around or relate to that niche. That's step 2. And then step three is posting with a strategy. And of course, there are different strategies, and sometimes these things change. There are strategies that have stayed the same for quite a while now, but posting with a strategy is ultimately how you will grow and reach more people. And then as long as you have that crystal clear niche, and all of your posts are relating to the topic, they're serving your audience, they're educational, they're valuable, they're entertaining, well, then over time, you're going to build an audience. And over time, that audience you can build trust with. And trust is the ultimate factor towards building a business or making sales or getting customers on Instagram. And so over time, as you build trust, you're going to be able to make more sales for whatever it is, whether it's something high ticket like a mastermind or something low ticket like a digital product or anything in between. Trust takes time. But we can talk more about, those different growth strategies and the trust formula and all of that. But that's the quick overview of the 1, 2, 3 of how to grow on Instagram and then build trust to ultimately make sales.
I love that. And you are almost at a million followers with such a powerful strategy yourself. What is your strategy?
Yeah, well, there's quite a bit that goes into my strategy, and it's going to vary depending on what we're talking about, whether we're talking my sales strategy, my daily growth strategy, my posting, my content creation strategy, right? There's so many different nuanced pieces there, and it's also going to change based off the season that I'm in. If we are doing a 30-day challenge, what I'm posting and how I'm showing up is going to look different than if we are in more of a maintenance phase versus if we are in a full-on launch phase and we're about to sell or promote or have some sort of flash sale. The strategy is going to slightly vary. But one thing that I always try to stress to people is that there is a direct correlation, at least on Instagram, between post rate and growth rate. So to say it another way, the more you post, the more you grow. And there's not an upper limit to that. You can post as many times as you want, and it will not plateau. You will not annoy your followers. You won't see a dip in the return on investment. It is true to say the more you post, the more you grow. But with that being said, it's important for everyone listening to identify what they can sustain, what frequency, what level of posting is sustainable for them. Again, considering the season of life that they're in, the season of business that they're in, the goals, the resources, the tools, the team that is at their disposal, because it's going to affect what you can sustain. But ultimately, only you can decide what is sustainable for you. So start with what you can sustain, whether that's one post a week or one post a day or one post a month, and then figure out ways to increase that number, not by working harder or by spending more time on Instagram necessarily, but by creating systems, by outsourcing, by hiring help, by using AI, by using different tools and habits to create more or create better content, but do it in the same or less time.
I love that. So, what would be the most common myth you hear with Instagram?
I think probably the most common myth, it revolves around a few different things that are just misconceptions, things that people are thinking that this is how you grow. This is how you get results. And either it's outdated, it's a gimmick, or it was never effective in the first place. And I think the two biggest culprits, or the two things that come to mind the most in this category, are hashtags and trending audios. Hashtags and trending audios can make a little difference. They can definitely help. They might give you a little boost from time to time. But for most people, those are their two primary ways of growth, or at least those are what they think are going to be their two primary ways to grow on Instagram. I got to use better hashtags, and I got to find the next trending audio before it blows up. Like I said, it might make a small difference, but according to most studies, it doesn't make a huge impact. In fact, according to the most recent studies, posts with less hashtags perform better. And in fact, posts with zero hashtags perform better than posts with hashtags. And so usually it's beneficial to focus on engaging with your community, creating better content, spending more time crafting and improving your hooks or the value or the entertainment that you're providing in the post, in the content, rather than spending time hunting down the perfect trending audio or trying to figure out what hashtags to use. That stuff is really just icing on the cake, and it's not going to make a huge difference.
So, how does somebody create better content?
Yeah, big question. I think that there's a few different ways that you can create better content. I think first and foremost, the non-sexy answer, but the very real answer is you practice. How do you get better at playing piano? You play piano every single day and you practice. Could you have a coach help you improve faster sooner? Sure. Could you watch YouTube tutorials and instructions on how to improve your play and how to fix these little things, and that'll help you grow and improve as a pianist faster? Sure. But at the end of the day, you got to put your fingers on the keys and start playing. The same is true in sports. The same is true in pretty much any area of life. And so while I am absolutely a believer that quality content is what leads to success, quality content is what leads to people engaging and following and purchasing. But when I hear people preaching about the importance of quality, I love to remind them of, how do you create quality? How do you get to the point that you can create and make quality posts? You do that through quantity. Quantity breeds quality. And so practice and showing up and creating content on a regular basis is a very simple way to grow. Now, if you're just posting something every day to post every day, if you're just throwing something up just because you feel like you got to meet a quota, that's never going to work. That's never going to lead to growth. That's never going to lead to results. Instead, post with a purpose. And every single day, try to see if there's one thing that you can improve from yesterday's post. Could I make my hook a little bit stronger? Could I deliver this in a more succinct way? Could I make my caption more engaging? Could I improve my storytelling? If there's just one small thing that you improve from one post to the next, by the end of 90 days, you'll have a night and day difference in terms of creating better content. So really, the best tip that I can give you is to practice and to keep showing up. Besides that, something I like to remind people is that success leaves clues. All of us are guilty of spending too much time scrolling, watching videos, watching content on social media. But one of the ways that you can turn that negative behavior into a positive is just by flipping your mindset from a place of mindless consumption, right? Just doom scrolling, watching video after video, just mindlessly paying attention, to a place of conscious consumption where you're thoughtfully watching every video. And what that means is you can still be entertained. You can still be captivated. You can still be glued to the screen as you're watching this hilarious, entertaining, funny, valuable, whatever video. But just ask yourself, why? Why was I glued to this video? Why did this video grab my attention? Why did I skip the 3 videos before this, but then this one made me want to keep watching? Hey, this one really made me want to keep watching, but then halfway through, I kind of got bored and I started scrolling. Why? Just asking yourself why is going to allow you to pick up on these little nuances, these little cues, these little tricks or tips or habits or editing styles or techniques that people are incorporating into their content. And then you can start to practice incorporating that into your own.
Wow, that is so powerful. Ask yourself why. And with that simple practice, your doom scrolling can turn into cash content that is going to help you grow your social media. I love that so much. And so, what do you think is the biggest mindset shift that people have to really embody to do everything you're talking about? Because I feel like everything that you're saying is so accurate, and it's like people just aren't doing it. They're not taking the action, they're not creating the content, they're not being consistent, they're not adding the hooks, and nobody is stopping you from doing that except yourself. And so there's a mindset shift, I feel like, that needs to happen first. And what is that?
Yeah, I think the mindset shift is that we have to stop relying on inspiration or creativity or what most people are relying on, which is external validation, whether it's views or likes or the engagement that their post is getting, and instead rely on the discipline to just press post. I truly believe that 95% or more of Instagram accounts and businesses who are trying to grow on Instagram fail because they get too caught up in the noise. They get too caught up in the daily slugs. They get too caught up in the up and down nature of the algorithm and the engagement. And so they lose the bigger picture. They lose the why, and they don't stay disciplined to just keep posting. When, like I said, if you can just keep showing up and keep improving little bit day by day, you're going to see results, and eventually the growth will come. But because it's social media and because we see highlight reels and because everything is just pretty and perfect and aesthetic on Instagram, we think that the growth needs to be instant. It needs to be fast. It needs to be overnight. When in reality, that is rarely the case. Most successful creators, most successful business owners on Instagram have been doing this for decades, like not months, not even years, but literally decades of creating content or running their business or trial and error. You just started following them 3 months ago. So it feels like overnight success. It feels like they're just suddenly popping out onto the scene. But what you didn't see was the years and years of work and practice and refinement that went in beforehand. And so if you can learn to accept that, hey, this is not going to be overnight. This is not going to be instant. It's going to take time, but I'm committed to the long haul, and I'm going to stay disciplined with my commitment through the long haul. I'm not going to focus on the other lanes. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to put the blinders on. Then you will have success.
I love that. And so, if we were to quantify that, how much time do you think people should be spending creating content a day?
I think that you can have a successful Instagram account and you can grow on Instagram in less than 30 minutes a day. I think that's very realistic. And when I say less than 30 minutes, that's less than 30 minutes total. I don't think that you need to spend more than 5 to 10 minutes a day on Instagram. Now, of course, being social matters, being a cheerleader of others matters, and engaging with other people and networking and just being a member of your tribe on Instagram matters, and they can definitely help. But if you're a business owner with 17 million other things to do, don't worry about spending all day engaging with Instagram. I would much rather have you spend that time creating content. So I firmly believe that you should be able to get a post made in 20 minutes or less. I think if it takes you more than 20 minutes, then either you're new to the game, which is fine. You're still practicing and learning what buttons to press and where to go to post and make a post and how to edit. And that stuff is going to get faster with time. But if you're someone who's been creating content for a few years, maybe you've been on Instagram for a couple of years now, and it's not necessarily the technical side that's slowing you down, it's your own mentality, your own overthinking, anxiety, second guessing, perfecting of every post that's slowing you down, well, then that's a different conversation. And that person needs to just press post. They need to rip off the Band-Aid, be scared, but do it anyways and just press post. Because truly, it shouldn't take you more than 20 to 30 minutes to create a post on Instagram. And if you can create a post in 20 minutes, spend a couple minutes engaging, responding to people, answering DMs, having conversations. That's really all you need to grow on Instagram. You don't need hours and hours a day. The algorithm doesn't reward you for hyperactivity. That's a myth. And so really you need far less time than people usually expect.
I love that. And I really echo that and second that. That is truly, I think, the most important skill that you have to master in the 21st century to grow on social media is content creation. And tell me what you think about this, but I think it is reels. Static posts aren't usually going as viral. It's the reels, even if it's more static and it's just a video of you that says, read the caption of the 3 things you need to do to grow your business. It's not the photo that's showing up on my newsfeed. It's all videos, it's all reels. And so I just think that there's this new wave where a couple of years ago it was static posts, photos, and now I feel like 95% of the viral content is reels. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. When reels were first invented in 2020, the pendulum really swung in their favor, and for a few years there, Instagram was pushing reels extremely heavily. And then about 2 years ago, the head of Instagram announced that they are kind of balancing the scales a little bit and giving more views and more engagement, more reach to photos and carousels, basically the non-videos. And then over the last year, we've seen that there's been a little bit of a shift again, primarily that reels are now reaching more non-followers than ever before. So to say it another way, reels are now reaching more new people than they ever have in the past. If you look at your little pie chart of where your views are coming from, it used to be that 80 to 90% of your viewers were existing followers. But now it's a much smaller percentage. People are seeing 60, 50, less than half, even 40, 30% of their views coming from existing followers, which means more than half of their views coming from new people, potential followers. And so reels definitely have the biggest potential to go viral. But there's been a really interesting shift in even just the last few months where, and this is kind of a trick that not many people are aware of, if you add music to a carousel, which the carousels are like the slideshow style posts. If you add a song to that carousel in Instagram, right before you press post, there's a little button that says music. If you add a song, it makes that carousel eligible to show up to non-followers. It makes it eligible to show up on the Reels page. And so that can be a great way to take your carousels, your static posts, your image posts, and just give them at least the potential, right? The opportunity to reach new people. And so Reels on average will reach more new people, reach more people in general, but that little trick can actually help you boost your carousels and your photos as well.
I love that. This is so many people are asking how to grow and monetize on social media. It's content creation. It's becoming a powerful and impactful content creator, specifically with videos, specifically with reels. And I am so happy you are advocating for that, because I feel like there has been such a shift into, like you said, people are not just seeing, like when I first got on Instagram, I felt like, it was the chronological order and you were just seeing your friend's stuff. Now you're not seeing your friend's stuff. You're seeing entertainers. You're not seeing your friend's stuff anymore. You're seeing entertainers. You're seeing Brock's content instead of your friend's stuff, because Instagram is like, Brock has viral content, Brock is getting engagement, let's show Brock's stuff so people aren't getting off the platform. We want to keep them on the platform, so let's show them entertainers content, not just their friends content. So my newsfeed is not just my friends anymore. It's so much new people. So can we dive a little bit deeper in this? Because I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, and I think this is truly the reason why people aren't growing. They're relying on their friends seeing their content, and they're not relying on them becoming talented content creators. So how does somebody do that? How does somebody just get better at creating content?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, you can't create content for your friends and family. That's what group chats are for. That's what texting is for, right? The modern social media algorithms, and this is fueled originally by the creation of the TikTok For You page, and now almost every social media has followed suit. They're prioritizing the most engaging content rather than the content from the people that you have followed. Basically, it's a shift from social media, emphasis on the social, to social media, emphasis on the media. Because all these platforms, like you said, they've recognized you're going to stay on the platform for longer and be more engaged and have a more positive experience and enjoy your time on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever, more if you are watching content that is purely entertainment and purely engaging. And when I say entertainment or engaging, it doesn't necessarily mean goofy, silly, viral, dumb videos. It can be super educational videos. Like if you've ever watched like one of those nature documentaries on Netflix, like it's not some goofy clown dancing, doing some trend. Like you're learning about, the Sahara Desert or something. And it's educational, but it's still super entertaining. And basically these algorithms have figured out that when they optimize for entertainment value, you're going to see more recommendations. You're going to see more posts from people who you don't follow, but you're going to have a better experience, or you're going to spend more time on Instagram because of it.
Yes, guys, go and rewind the last 5 minutes and listen to that again. Because if you master this is how you grow on social media. This is how you monetize. So once you get all of those views, you get that engagement from creating the high quality content. And guys, go check him out on Instagram, Brock 11 Johnson. This guy practices what he preaches. Okay, this guy is high quality content all the time. And once you get those eyeballs, then how do you monetize on social media?
Yeah. So ultimately, you have to build trust. And before we even talk about building trust and selling or monetizing, there's a lot that we could say here, right? And when most people think about monetizing, a lot of people will think about getting paid by the platform. And while that is possible, it's not very common on Instagram. It's very normal on YouTube. It's a little bit more normal on TikTok than it is on Instagram. But on Instagram, you're not really going to get paid by the platform. They don't pay per view the way they once did. And so if you're thinking, well, I'm just going to go viral and get a bunch of views and make money from that, it's probably not going to happen. And even if it does happen, you're probably not going to make very much money doing it. And it's not going to be a sustainable or reliable source of income. So when it comes to actually monetizing the platform, what we mean is sell something. Now, when you sell something, you could sell something that you create, or you could sell something that someone else has created. When you sell something that someone else has created, this is usually what's called affiliate marketing, which is where you promote a product that you use, that you love, and then when people buy it, you get a commission for that. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 70%, but you basically get a small fee for that purchase. The benefit of this is that you don't have to go through the work of creating a product, but of course the drawback is you're only making the commission fee. You're not making 100% of the revenue from that sale. The other option is selling something that you create. Now, of course, you could create things that are physical, like a birdhouse that you're selling, or custom jewelry, or you could create physical services like a car washing service or a lawn care service. Or you can do what most of us are going to be most familiar with, and what I usually recommend for most people, which is digital products. Digital products and digital services are online coaching. They are courses. They are ebooks. They're guides. They're consultations. They're masterminds. They're private groups and communities where it's all housed online, right? It's Zoom meetings. It's online videos. It's nothing that's actually being given or delivered in the real world. And so it's much easier for you to scale this. It's much easier for you to send out 100 PDFs in a day to your 100 new customers than it is to go to 100 different people's houses and cut 100 different people's lawns on that day. So digital products is how I would recommend that most people at least most of your listeners go about monetizing on Instagram. But then in order to actually make sales, trust is the most important ingredient. Trust has skyrocketed over the last few years, up the list of why people buy things. It used to be important, but now it's more important than ever before. And trust, if you don't have trust, you're not going to be able to make sales. It's going to be so much tougher, even if you have people's attention, which is tough enough. Even if you have done the hard work of actually getting people to pay attention and follow, if you don't have trust, you're not going to make sales. So there is a formula for trust, and I'm going to see if I can remember it off the top of my head. It comes from a book called The Trust Formula by Dan Sullivan. So if anyone wants to check that out, great book. But trust is essentially credibility And on Instagram, credibility is just your expertise. Excuse me, not even your expertise, your experience, not your expertise. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to at least have experience in whatever it is that you're going to be selling. So that's credibility, plus intimacy. And on Instagram, intimacy just means authenticity. Are you being real? Are you being yourself? Are you being true and honest? Or are you just copying gimmicks and trying to make a quick buck and trying to, do all the hacks and all the tacky, sleazy, slimy, tacky strategies that some other gurus have posted? And then R, C plus I plus R, credibility plus intimacy plus R. And the R stands for reliability. And reliability is just, can people count on you? Can they rely on you to keep showing up time and time again? And if they can do that, then they know that they can trust you. So C plus I plus R, and all of that is divided by self-orientation. Self-orientation basically just means, what's in it for you? If it's clear to your audience that you're just all about the sale and making money and every post is an advertisement, you're going to lose their attention. You're going to lose their trust. But if you're truly about serving over selling, then you're going to be able to actually build trust and then make the sales that you want.
Wow, this is such a powerful podcast, Brock. Like, you are truly breaking down exactly what the listeners need to do to grow and monetize on social media. And if they follow this formula, this proven formula that you've used, that you've taught to thousands of your students, they will grow. I love this. So powerful. So what are some of the most popular hooks that you've seen works, or what can the listeners do? What kind of hooks can they use, or what kind of hooks are you using that are making people stop in a social media platform full of noise, full of competition? What are you finding that's working?
Brittany, I got to pause for 1 second. Someone's banging on our front door, so I'm going to go take care of that. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
If we need to go past the 45-minute mark, we should be fine, because this person wasn't supposed to be here, but I appreciate you. I'll be right back.
That's fine. And guys, what I want to do in the meantime is I want to share with you guys something that is working so well on social media, and that is being authentic. Okay. I love that Brock just talked about building trust. And I remember I listened to this quote, and it absolutely was a game changer. It changed my life. I heard this about 10 years ago, and they talked about, in order to build trust, you have to let down your guard and be real. And so many people are so scared of what people think. And so they're keeping their guard up. They're keeping a polished, perfect brand. And the brands that I really connect with are the brands that are letting down the wall, letting people see into their life and the authenticity of what is happening. And so I really, really, really encourage people, be authentic online, share your truth, share what is coming up for you. And that is so powerful. The other tip that I will share that has helped so many people grow on social media is consistency. I love that Brock talked about this. And that is being consistent. When you show up and you treat content creation like it is a new skill, you treat content creation like you are learning another language. You put the time and effort into knowing that you are going to create content that is not going to work. You are going to create content that is going to flop. But every single time you show up for your audience, every single time that you push posts, and every single time you just focus on getting better and improving your skill sets, what's going to happen over time is you are going to start to notice a trend. And on social media, when you start to notice the trends that are working, and you go to your analytics and you see what is trending, what is working, and you find those trends through consistency, through posting, you are going to notice your social media skyrocket, because your followers, your audience, and your new audience is going to give you feedback on what they like based on how much engagement you get. So just to echo what Brock said, be consistent, show up, keep posting, analyze the trends, analyze your engagement, study what's getting the most engagement, and be consistent. And that is where the magic happens. So Brock, what do you feel are the hooks that are working? And what would you say is a popular hook that maybe people aren't really talking about that people would be able to apply? Because one thing I want from this podcast, you guys, is to listen to this podcast and really embody every single thing that is being said, really embody it and get inspiration. Allow this podcast to motivate you and inspire you to when we're done this podcast, to start taking action, to start creating content. So what are some things that people can do right away to start creating that engaging content?
Yeah. So the hook is absolutely everything. If you want to get more views, if you want to make more engaging content, put the majority of your time, energy, and effort into the hooks. The hook is everything. Now, the hook can either be the words that you're saying, the text on the screen, the audio in the background, or the visuals. If we are specifically talking about, let's say, the text on the screen or the words that you're saying to the camera, if you're doing like a talking head or a voiceover style reel, here's some tips to keep in mind. Number one, 5 to 8 words. And these are general recommendations. These are not rules that if you break, you're going to jail. These are general recommendations to help make your hooks more engaging. So number one, 5 to 8 words. 5 to 8 words is a good sweet spot where you're not going to be such a long sentence. It's not going to be such a long hook that you're losing interest. Think about like newspapers. If anyone still gets newspapers on their driveway every morning, you're never seeing a newspaper headline that has more than 8 words in the headline, right? Like there's never more than 8 words there. It's usually just a few. 5 to 8 is ideal, and less than 5, you're not really going to get a point across. Like you're not going to be able to articulate a thought in less than 5 words. It's going to be pretty tough. So 5 to 8 words. Second tip for the words you're saying or the text on the screen is at or below a 5th grade reading level. Dumb it down. Keep it simple. Not because your audience is dumb, not because people are illiterate, but because most people are distracted. Most people are not consciously consuming, they're mindlessly scrolling. And so make it simple, make it easy for them to understand, because as soon as you use that fancy, complex jargon, that acronym that only you and your friends know, and it's only used by the insiders, the inside lingo in the industry, you lose people, you lose their interest, you lose their attention. So dumb it down, keep it simple. And then the third tip for the text or the audio, the words you're saying, is negative often outperforms positive. And what I mean by that is using words like don't, stop, avoid, stay away from. Those sorts of words are going to grab more attention than their positive counterparts. A great example that I love to give about this is if you ever go to like ESPN or you watch an episode of SportsCenter, they won't say that the team won a game. They'll say that the team finally snapped a 3-game losing streak. Well, either way, you're saying that they won. Whether they snapped a 3-game losing streak or they won last night, they won. Either way, it's a positive thing. But snapping a 3-game losing streak is the focus is negative, and you're using these negative words. And so it's going to grab people's attention more than its positive counterpart. I wouldn't recommend making every single one of your hooks negative. But if you can, just be conscious about including that from time to time. It can really improve your retention and your views on your posts.
I love that. So what would you say is the secret sauce behind building a magnetic brand?
Good question. I think that magnetic brands are built over time. Magnetic brands come from super fans, from having an inside community who they're not just lukewarm, they're not just customers, but they're repeat customers. They're coming back time and time again. They're purchasing everything you put out. They're listening to every episode of your podcast. They're engaging with every post you make. They're DMing you on a weekly, if not a daily basis. And these super fans, it's built over time. It's built through authenticity, showing not just the highlights, but the lowlights as well, showing the full picture on Instagram and being really vulnerable so that people can get to know you and that they can really soak all of that up and learn about your values, your background, your experiences, your challenges, and your triumphs along the way. And then it also creating a sticky brand, creating these super fans comes from having experiences with them. So it's not just them watching you experience things, but they either feel like they're doing things with you or they are literally doing things with you, whether it's raising funds for an important cause, or it's, they're showing up to some live event or a meetup that you're doing, or they are asking a question that you are putting in your podcast and you are saying their name and answering it. Just these high touch interactive moments, that's what sticks with people. That's what makes them want to stick around. And that's what makes your brand sticky.
I love it. So what is your internal process for turning ideas into content?
So I'm constantly getting ideas. Like I said earlier, success leaves clues, and there's great content everywhere. Whether you're watching a TV show, listening to a podcast, or scrolling on social media, there's great content all around you. So I'm constantly getting ideas, and I'm just keeping a running list, usually just in my notes app on my phone of, hey, here's this post idea. Here's this carousel idea. Here's this reel that I could recreate. Here's this great hook that I heard that I could do my own spin on, constantly getting ideas. And then when it comes time to actually create content, during that period of time, I am not researching ideas. I am not writing scripts. All of that's already been done. And I'm also not doing the editing or the polishing or the refining or the stuff you do before you actually press post. During my content creation time, I am purely focused on creating content. Like we all have those days where we just look better. We're feeling more creative. We're feeling like we want to go on camera. We're feeling more willing to put our face on video. Don't let those days go to waste. Take advantage of them by creating as much as you possibly can. And one of the ways that I love to do this personally is when I have that session and I have, hey, here's the 17 new ideas I've written down in the last week. I'm going to start with the ones that are easy. I call it the low effort content, the stuff that's going to take you only a few seconds to film. It's going to take you a few minutes to make at most. I'm not going to do the really complex reel that's like a skit and I need an outfit and I got to go to the costume store to buy something for it and I got to go buy a prop and I got to do lots of editing. I'm not starting with that one because then I'm going to spend 3 hours working on it and I'm going to get to the end of the 3 hours. And I'm going to have one post, maybe. Instead, I start with all the quick stuff so that at the end of 3 hours, even if I didn't finish that really big one, I have 7 other posts that I made and I started work on the really big one.
I love that. So if you had to start a brand from scratch tomorrow and your goal was 100K in 30 days, what exactly would you do?
So if I was starting a brand tomorrow and I had to hit 100K in 30 days, first of all, I would be realistic that that's a super high goal. Like that's extremely tough. We took 1,000 people who were trying to hit 100,000 followers in 30 days, and they all followed the exact same strategy. Not just they all did their best, but they all literally followed the exact same strategy. Probably only very few of them, only a couple, would actually hit 100,000 followers in 30 days. So we got to be realistic about, what is attainable and achievable. But if that was our goal, we need to create as much as the highest quantity possible of the highest quality content possible in that short of a time frame. So I actually, on day one, I wouldn't create my Instagram account and start posting. I would spend the first week or maybe even the first 2 weeks focused on creating content, batch creating as much as I possibly can, but not even worrying about posting, so that when week 2 starts or week 3, the week when we're actually going to start posting, I have a big backlog. I have a bunch of posts that are, in the canister ready to go. And so then you can hit the ground running with a really high volume of posts that are all super high quality, super well done. They have all the, great elements of a great piece of content. And then you're more likely to see results. And really, if you want to hit 100K in 30 days, you're going to have not just one, but probably multiple posts go big time viral. And that is only going to be possible by creating some really, really great posts and creating a lot of posts in the process.
So what do you think are the biggest factors that would help somebody go viral? Like if I wanted to go viral today and create a bunch of viral content, what would you say or what would you advise to do that?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I usually don't advise people to set the goal of going viral, because going viral and setting a goal to go viral is like setting a financial goal to win the lottery. It's going to leave you desperate. It's going to leave you trying anything and everything. And it's going to make you end up prioritizing the algorithm rather than the audience. But what we have seen is that the most common factor amongst viral posts is the amount of shares they are receiving. To say it another way, the best way to go viral is to get a lot of shares or to get a lot of people seeing your post and sending it to someone else. When someone sees a post and they share it with a friend, they send it to a colleague, they send it to their stories, they send it to their group chat, that share directly equates to more views, right? Because there's a recipient who's getting the post shared to them and they're going to view it. But also algorithmically, especially on Instagram, they really reward that kind of interaction. If you're getting more shares, they're going to reward you by showing your post to more people. And so if you can create share-worthy posts, that's really the secret sauce to having your post get a ton of views and even go viral.
I love that. That is so true. And that's one thing that I study with the metrics, because I love studying. Everything you're talking about is my jam. And the one thing I notice in the bottom right-hand corner when I see all this viral content, the number of likes is literally either half or around there, sometimes more than half, sometimes a little bit less than half. But the viral pieces of content, the shares in relation to the number of likes is so high. Like that is what is showing up on your newsfeed. Like, let that sink in, you guys. Let that really sink what Brock just said. Shares is what tells the Instagram algorithm to show your content on more people's newsfeed. I love that. So powerful. Instagram is a publicly traded company. They want to keep people on the platform. They want to keep people sharing. And that is so, so, so important. And so what kind of content do you think is shareable? And my question is as well is, I notice relatable content is like filling up my news feed. Educational and relatable content is literally my entire news feed. Mm-hmm. What do you think is more important? And do you think that relatable educational content is the most important factors, or what is the most important factors to get shares?
Mm-hmm. Educational content has value and it has purpose, but think about how many textbooks there are sitting on the shelves all over the world that are not getting read, that are full of value, full of great education, but they're collecting dust. And they're collecting dust because they're not very entertaining. There are plenty of books that are educational and valuable that are being read, and they're being read because they tell a great story or they illustrate the points in a captivating, entertaining way. And so again, there is value in education, and educational posts have a purpose, and you can use them to build trust and show your credibility and to, allow your audience to learn from you. And that's definitely valuable. But if you want to get more shares, there's 5 different kinds of share-worthy content. And Brittany, you already mentioned one of those yourself, which is relatable content. Relatable content is one of the 5. That's probably the most popular. That's probably the easiest to create. The other 4 are motivational, which is pretty self-explanatory, right? Motivational quotes, inspirational messages, powerful reminders, very share-worthy. Number 3 is community-oriented content. This is the kind of stuff that, like I mentioned earlier, it kind of brings everyone together for a bigger cause. It rallies people together around an important message or something that just needs more attention. It's kind of like I need your help. I'm not going to help you with this post. We're flipping the table and I need your help. That's community posts, very share worthy. The 4th is controversial posts. And by controversial posts, I just mean the unpopular opinion posts, right? Saying the thing that is counterculture, or that is different than the gurus in your space say, or that is different than what has been the norm for the last 50 years. It's something that you believe. Some people call it lighthouse content. I've heard it called. And that's a great way to think of it, is like, it's kind of bringing people to you, and it's shining this light of, this is what I believe. It might not be the most popular opinion. It might even be controversial, but ultimately it's going to allow people to come to your page and share your posts, because they're like, finally, somebody said this. I've been thinking this for years, but finally somebody actually said it. So controversial is number 4. And then 5th and last but not least is timely content. So this could be a trending audio. This could be a popular meme that's going around. This could be relating your content to pop culture. Maybe there's like the Super Bowl, or maybe there's like some big TV show that has its season finale that it feels like everyone's watching, or maybe there's some big political event that is in the news. And if you can find a way to relate that to your niche, it can be very share worthy. So those are the 5 different kinds of share worthy content that we see on Instagram.
I love that. What a perfect way to wrap this amazing, impactful, inspiring podcast. Wow. Brock, I've been in the social media space for a very long time, and there are not many people that know as much as you do. You are so good at communicating what actually works. In the Instagram space, I've just seen so many people have all these different opinions and leading people astray. And just listening to what you say is so grounded in the truth. And it also makes me inspired to go out there and create content. I literally, while you were talking, I'm like getting all these ideas of all this content I want to create after this podcast. And that is what it's about. It's not just about knowing the tools and the hacks and the algorithm. It's having the discipline and the dedication to go out there and create powerful and engaging content. And that is exactly what you do online, on this podcast, on your social media. So guys, make sure you give him a follow. He's always giving out so many free premiums. He has so many different PDFs and courses and Zooms and just so much for free that is going to help you. And if you want to be successful, I know you do. That is why you are here. Take the next step and follow him so that you can be successful as well. So thank you so much, Brock. That was absolutely amazing. I appreciate you so, so, so much. Guys, follow him on Instagram, Brock11 Johnson. Is there anything else you want to say for all of our amazing listeners? And what are your final words?
Yeah, well, first and foremost to you, Brittany, thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate you allowing me to share your stage and speak to your audience with you. It was really a pleasure, and your energy is awesome. So thank you for that. To your listeners and to anyone who is listening to today's episode, I just want to say, just press post. I know I shared a lot of information, a lot of education and tips today, and there's plenty of value in that. I hope you took notes. I hope that you learned something today and found this valuable. But ultimately, all of it is worthless if you are not taking action. Knowledge without implementation isn't very valuable. So take the knowledge, take what you learned today, and just implement one thing. Just make one post, just press post one time, and then come back to this episode and see if there's one other thing that you could take from this episode and apply it to your next post. And if you do that time and time again, after a few weeks or a few months, you're going to be a night and day difference. So much better content creator. Your business is going to be growing because of it. And finally, I'll just say thank you so much for listening today.
Thank you so much, Brock. And I really want to commend you for your consistency. I know your mom, she used to come in, we used to do some clubhouse rooms together. She's so amazing. Love Charlene. She is so great. And I've been following you for a while, and I just really want to commend your consistency. You've been so consistent, powerfully showing up for people. And look at what you've created for yourself, for your family, for everybody, because you are consistent, because you had the confidence to show up online, and because you worked hard. You didn't just master the content creation, you mastered the monetization, the digital products, absolutely everything. And so I really want our listeners to know it is possible. I know inside your heart is a fire and soul to be successful and build a powerful brand and have impact and influence. And if there's one thing you take away from today, it's from looking at Brock and what he's created and knowing it is possible when you apply everything that he shared here today. And that is what me and Brock want for you, is to do something with this, to take action and build an amazing kick-ass life that lights your soul on fire and inspires everyone to do so. So I love you guys so much. Give Brock a follow. Thank you so much, Brock. And I wish you so, so much happiness and success, because you truly deserve it.
Thank you.